So guys, an interesting thing appeared on the live server when the patch got released, and I didn't notice, nobody actually noticed, I didn't see anything talking about this, but yesterday we had further data mines made by Zabi, and one of the data mines was that this appeared on the J10, so apparently now it's called the J10A Early, yeah, early, so that got me thinking, but wait, do we have a version that can be the J10A Late? So is that even a thing that will actually be added at some point? Well, yes and no, right? We don't know actually. Because the F14 is a clear example of that, right? We do have an F14A early, but we never got a late variant of the F14. Even the Iranian F14 that got added as an event vehicle is called the F14A Tomcat Early RIAF, right? So does it mean that we are gonna have a late version of the F14? Maybe at some point, but I mean, the F16 got one kind of added, right? So do we have anything with that? Or maybe Gaijin is considering that the F14B would be kind of the later model of the Tomcat, while the F14A early is just an earlier model of the Tomcat and not just the F14A specifically, right? So we don't know exactly what this means, but it is funny and interesting to take a look on what could actually be like if we got a J10A late, and is there any other version of the A that can be called the late, or do we see another version at all? So let's take a look onto that. So first things first that you have to understand is that the J10 actually has kind of an early version into it before we see even the version that we have in the game. That wasn't officially called the J10, but it was basically the prototype of the J10 that had some interesting changes, like details on the body shape and landing gear doors and some other things to optimize the inclusion of the WS10 engine instead of the AL31F, right? Eventually, these aircraft actually saw service with the J10A that we see in the game, with some of these changes done to the aircraft, And of course, I think the main one would be that these prototypes wouldn't be able to actually use the PL12. They would use the PL11, and the production A that we see in the game would use the PL12 that we have in the game, right? So it makes you wonder. So, okay, they're not talking, an early model is not a prototype or anything like that, which was something that I was expecting, right? So it means that they're talking about a later model of the J10A, right? But if you take a look on the J10A itself, there isn't that many options out there to be called a J10A Late, right? We have two versions that could be called a late model of the J10, but they are called the J10B and C, which provide many improvements, with the B being the first one. They never saw like a massive service onto it on the B model, but yeah, due to the development of the IASA technology, so they did introduce a PESA radar on the B model, and different intake changes, like shape changes and other little things like that. But due to the IASA radar being so more advanced than the PESA in development, in their own domestic design, they decided to just switch to the J10C eventually, which is indeed the version that would use the IASA, and especially being the main light fighter of the Chinese Air Force right now, be able to carry the most advanced missiles that they produce with the PL-10, which is a very good IR missile, which would be maybe similar to something like Python 5 or Iris-T or something like that. It's difficult to know the performance of this missile at all, but still. And the PL-15, which is an improvement over the older PL-12s in the Fox 3 department. So fully a 4.5 generation aircraft, right? So are they talking about these variants? Well, maybe, right? But there is one little variant that they can actually also add as an A late, which would be a version that apparently can use the PL-10 missile and an IASA radar attempt on the modification done to the aircraft. Apparently, it was the Navy version, that got this upgrade called the J10AH. It could be a thing. Like, it could be exist in the sense of having an as a radar, right? But it could mean that in the future, before we get to the J10B and C, they might add a J10AH with a better IR missile if they're planning to add better IR missiles for everybody, and an as a radar, which would mean that the J10A would be kind of upgraded to be a middle ground between the future J10Cs and the J10A that we have right now, being a J10A Late, right? But that's the only model that I can think of that could actually be added as a late model of the J10A. If that's not the case, for sure they're meaning that it's gonna be the J10B or C coming afterwards, right? So of course, B, as I said, PESA, redesigned air intake, better engines, better electronic suite, you know, it's just a better overall aircraft, not many produced. And remember the J10C with MAL systems, IASA radar, better air intake as well with the J10B, better missiles like the PL-10 and PL-15, right? So expect these aircraft when, well, that's the thing. It's complicated. Why? Because we don't know. Like, we really, really don't know. I have a feeling that something big will happen in December. That we will see a big update coming, as we normally do have in the December update. They normally introduce a new generation of aircraft, or a new type of missile, or a new type of ground like feature, or anything that it's quite big. They normally add in the December patch. And in the October-November patch, we normally have a smaller patch, right? So what I think is that they might have two options in the future for the December patch. Maybe they're gonna start adding better versions of aircraft that we have right now with slightly better radars or anything like that, with better IR missiles or something like that, which is probably more unlikely, like Python 4s and etc, right? R73Ms or early versions of the M9X, I don't know. Or they can just jump straight to something that it's really, really, really way more likely, which is the 4.5 generations, the 4 plus generations. Eurofighters, Rafales maybe, J10Cs maybe, MiG-35s or Su-35s, or I don't know. I really don't know. Su-30s probably, or something like that first, right? I really honestly don't know, but it feels like a preparation. The J10 really does feel like a preparation. Did a whole video about it yesterday, about how this aircraft is just a peek into the future of War Thunder, because it's basically what an Eurofighter would look like, you know, being maybe even a little bit better, or a lot better, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. We can only guess, but this is my opinion on it. The J10 even now looks even more like a peek into the future, since we have that early name. Does it mean it's coming another J10 is coming very soon? No, but we can wonder, because it happened, like the two things happened already, right? We had an F-14 early with the A that never got a A late, but we had the F-16 that it didn't take a lot to actually get a later models out of it, right? So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and I see you guys on the next one. And let me know in the comments what do you think about the J10A being considered an early model of the J10. See you guys. Bye.